Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program Superdawn. I am Vera. I'll support with you on this edition of the program. Well, we're starting a bit late today. Today is hectic, a Monday morning. That some of us left home 5 o'clock and some of us are still out on the way going to work. It's a bad traffic this morning, and I just hope that the officials of the road will do something about it. We're talking about the road safety. We're talking about the Lagos State Management Agency, the LASMA. I think they need to go and help out. Loads of people stuck. No vehicle coming. Everybody, it's a hold up. People are held up on the road right now. But today we're going to look at road accident, especially looking at heavy truck duties. Last week, we saw a horror, I call it a horror scene, at the Teldala Bridge along the Ibadan Expressway. We're going to be looking at all of this truck causing accident. Most of the time, you hear Ojuelegba, the spot on the top of Ojuelegba Bridge, where every time we get truck heavy-duty load, going through falling apart, and some of them getting stuck, some of them causing traffic gridlock. What can we really do concerning this? And of course, we're going to look also at the crisis, communal crisis with the Fulani and communities. How can we sort that out in Nigeria? Don't forget that we usually start with the newspaper review segment, and we will go straight to the segment right now. When we come back after this break, we'll open the phone lines for you to call. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. It's the newspaper review segment. But before we go into the segment, I'd like to say good morning to, I want to say blessed. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vera. Good morning, viewers. It's so good to return to work this morning again.
Good to see you once again after some days off work.
Yeah. No, I hope Lagos don't miss me that much. So glad to
I bet you they miss you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So good to be here, and welcome to Superdawn. It's a beautiful one for this week, and it's a new month already.
It's a new month. Happy new month.
Happy new month to you guys out there. We assure you that this month of Superdawn this month is going to be awesome as usual. Still on the football World Cup season, and every other thing you need to get, you get it right here on Superdawn or Superscreen television.
Welcome back once again.
So good to be here.
Well, we move straight to the newspaper review segment. We want to start with the Daily Trust this morning. The first one says here, corruption, weak enforcement delay federal government's 157 billion oil revenue. And the writer says will soon revoke indebted companies block. That's from the DPR. About 100, so I take that again, about $515.8 million, or you say 157 billion at the official $305 exchange rate is still owed the federal government as signature bonus by oil companies more than 10 years after the last oil bid round were held. And this is coming in from the Daily Trust report. The signature bonus is a premium paid on concession granted to a winner of an oil block or for renewal of expired oil license after 10 years.
Yeah.
Those owing the federal government is still owing. That's the premium you pay when you sign that contract, the oil block. But after 10 years, some companies are still owing.
I really don't understand why they are still owing after 10 years, but I'll just appeal to the necessary authorities to do the necessary things that needs to be done to ensure that these monies are being paid. It's a decade, and if you ask me, it's long overdue. So let them get the payment to be done, and let's see how we can use that to fix our economy.
Okay. We also have this picture story with the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, during the 31st session of the African Union Summit with Mr. President. And if you get hold of the Daily Trust, you could see the smiles from both ends. We also have this in the papers. Anti-Corruption Special Court decide 324 cases in 6 months. The special court designated for corruption and financial crimes cases in the country have delivered about 324 judgments, struck out 12 cases, and reversed 62 cases for judgment in the last 6 months. A statement by the Director of Information of the National Judiciary Council, the NJC, said the details are contained in the Report of Corruption and Financial Crime Cases Trials Monitoring Committee, inaugurated in November 2017 by the Chief Justice of the country, Walter Onogrim. They're telling us, giving us their report story there. We also have in the papers, Buhari wants stolen assets repatriated without legal barriers. You can see that in the papers this morning. And PDP to decide APC this week, Barije has said. Okay, the last one we're going to take from the Daily Trust. Killings. Army chief blames internal and external forces. That's the last one we can take from the Daily Trust this morning. We'll move away from the Daily Trust and we want to take some stories in the New Telegraph.
Starting off with the New Telegraph this Monday morning. A lot of stories here on the front page, and I'll take them one after the other, starting with the bold caption on the New Telegraph paper this morning. NPDP Malls, mass defection. And the riders, Baraje, we shall make our stand known this week. ADC, we will welcome Saraki, Dogara, Tamboa, Atiku, IBB in closed-door meeting. INEC, alleged attempts to clone PVCs. PDP to APC. We will resist attempts to rig polls. And all those stories are on page 4 and 10 of the New Telegraph paper this morning. Now, quickly take this again. Gunmen kill 6. Set church ablaze in Plateau State. I'm surprised. Yes,
the killings are still coming in. But when we invited experts like Colonel Nojim, retired, he says we'll get to see all of this. But my question is, if we have security agencies doing what they need to do, must we be hearing of killings, communal clashes? Must it continue? So what do we need to do to end this? That's always been the question.
Let's see all that this government can do to ensure that all these incessant killings in the countries have to come to an end. These are human lives, for crying out loud. They are not animals. These are human lives, and everything that needs to be done should be put in place. I'm still on the New Telegraph paper this morning. Explosion tanker content doubled its capacity. And that's coming from the Lagos State government. And page 9 has that story. NNPC seals $724 million deal with Schulberg, and that's on page 7 of the story. Stock market posts 1.1226 trillion naira in second quarter loss, and that's on page 5 of the New Telegraph newspaper. Abattoir gunshot victims need breast, womb, spinal cord injuries. On the bottom strips of the New Telegraph this morning, is still on the World Cup season. And the headline says, World Cup, the rider, Nigerians stranded in Russia. Fans beg money to survive. One-way ticket fans in dilemma. You're passionate about the World Cup, and this story,
this is very interesting. I think morning. You need to retake that story again.
I'll quickly do that. The headline, World Cup, Nigerians stranded in Russia. Fans beg for money to survive.
Maybe because we are out of the tournament.
Yes,
we are out of this game, and I don't know why they took them there, isn't it? Or maybe they went on their own.
Those that went on their own just to the supporting fans to cheer up our Super Eagles.
Who are they going to be cheering up right now while they're begging to survive in Russia? They better come back home.
All right, all these and more, you'll find these and more on the New Telegraph paper this morning. Moving on now to the next paper, The Punch.
We'll move on to The Punch straight ahead, and this one says, killings without state police. We risk more attacks, says Ekwerimadu. And the writer says 6 more suspects arrested for Plateau massacre. You also see a picture story of some of the internally displaced persons at the IDP camp during presentation of relief materials supplied by the National Emergency Management Agency and the Plateau State Government to the IDPs in Jos. You know, it's so sudden that Jos is also going through this kind of situation right now. You know, it's not, excuse me, it's not easy. I mean, staying in a place you didn't anticipate before. You know, you have your beddings, you have your accommodation, and right now you are being forced into a camp where you have to wait for relief materials. To survive. You have to wait for food to survive. You can't go farming because your community has been attacked and been kidnapped, so to speak. And, well, I really find it difficult because the trauma they're going through right now, only God can explain what they will be going through.
Honestly, if you ask me, I think we're having too much IDP camps in these countries. Whatever this government needs to do, whatever needs to be done to ensure that these people need to get back to their communities and start their normal lives, let them do it. Depending on these relief materials to survive is not the best way to go. These are human lives, for crying out loud. Able-bodied men are there who have their own normal businesses to go about, and they have been restricted to a particular area and confined to a standard of life that they are not used to. So whatever this government needs to do, we're looking up to them. Let them ensure that those things are being done. We are the voices of the people here, and we do everything we can to speak on their behalf and ensure that the best thing is being done.
Okay, we still have this story in the, I'm trying to get the story, okay? We get this one in the Punch. It says, Obasanjo remains my leader, says Bode George. Bode George with Obasanjo right now. I think I need to get that story. Obasanjo remains my leader forever. That's coming in from Bode George, the former National Deputy Chairman, Southwest of the People Democratic Party, the PDP. Chief Olabode George says a former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, remains his leader forever. He said this on Sunday when he led 10 of his loyalists on a thank you visit to Obasanjo at the Presidential Library residence in Abeokuta. He said he had put the past behind him, adding that the former president will remain his leader forever. He expressed satisfaction for reconciliation with his former boss, attributing storm behind them to be the handiwork of the devil, which, according to him, had been put to shame. So they are now back together. Politics still remain politics.
It's politics, and you know, when it comes to politics, permit me to say, in times of elections like this, that is where you now say loyalties from one particular faction or the other. So for Olabode George to come out and say, ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo still remain his leader, it's still loyalty.
Are you saying that after the election that will not be? Is that what you're saying?
Politics is politics. So what we are saying right now is what we are used to, is what we know to be Nigerian way of doing their own thing called politics, and we just hope that this loyalty lasts even after the 2019 election. Okay,
we have this coming from Lagos State. Vehicular defects, human errors caused by tank fire. Remember what happened? The Lagos State government on Sunday said a combination of vehicle defects and human errors were responsible for the Thursday tanker fire on the Tedola Bridge end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which led to the death of 10 persons and destruction of 45 vehicles. The government said it had taken more measures to prevent a reoccurrence, adding that it had restricted movement of fuel tankers to trailer routes. Right now, it's going to be solely for trailer routes. The Lagos State also said it was now mandatory for all articulated trucks coming into Lagos to obtain the Ministry of Transportation roadworthiness certificate. At a joint press briefing in Alausa, after meeting with all the relevant stakeholders, the Commissioner for Transportation, Mr. Ladi Lawansin, said the decision became necessary following preliminary investigation into the recent, which revealed a combination of vehicular defects and human errors. I think it's high time they give them a trailer route.
Yeah.
We cannot be having same these heavy-duty trucks. In Lagos, it's always a menace.
Yeah.
In Lagos has become worrisome. You know, when the speed, you see a heavy truck duty, speeding as though he's using just a car,
Yeah.
or maybe a forerunner. These are heavy truck duties.
Yeah.
I think they should put them in their place.
Whatever the government has done is the best for us. The incident that happened last Thursday is one too many, if you ask me. A lot of lives that has been lost cannot be replaced, and those vehicles that were gone can also not be replaced. And whatever needs to be done, let them do it. This is part of what we're going to be talking today on Superdawn.
Yes.
And I need to also bring out something here quickly, that if in neighboring Cameroon, heavy-duty trucks like this don't ply the roads, the main roads during daytime. They come out at the night time. If the government can do such in this country, in Lagos State in particular, I think it's a welcome
No, we have a time they are supposed to ply the road.
Yeah, yeah.
In Lagos State, actually have their time belt. But do they follow it? And if they don't, who is arresting them for not following what is restricted?
That's the problem we are having.
That's the challenge.
That's
We'll go
the
on this
fundamental
break.
problem.
And when we come back, we still have some of the stories in the punch before we move into the next paper. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. We're still with the newspaper review segment. I'll just take some of the headlines in the Punch. We started with the Punch before we went on that break. AMCON threatened to seize 5.4 trillion debtors' assets. We have here Angola Abdullahi meets Obasanjo over 2019 polls and killings. Here we have Lagos schoolgirl, 14 years of age, disappear after outing with boyfriend. Blessed.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
14 years of age.
Wow.
I feel like spanking her if they get her.
Oh, she's still open to spanking if you ask me. And 14 years.
And she's missing. So talk to your words out there. Talk to your girls out there not to be deceived. I don't think they know loads about love. But maybe one of these days we'll talk about it.
It's just lust and infatuation.
Yes, it's infatuation,
yeah,
and
it's really not
they
love.
shouldn't be carried away because they will be carried away finally.
Yeah.
Just like this one now, they've been looking
love
for her
in
for
its true
some time.
sense is not stupid, and it's
but that's all we can
senseless.
take from the Punch.
All right,
newspaper.
now starting off now with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Killings. Niger Delta militants give FG 21-day ultimatum, and the riders urge FG to arrest Mehati Hala leaders, disband group, demand devolution of powers to governments to protection of citizens, fresh attack in Plateau, claims 6 lives, farmed land destroyed. Mehati Hala wants Benue, Taraba government against unction of seized cartels. And also on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, I can make Shekau 137 insurgents surrender, and that's coming from an ex-Boko Haram commander. Page 8 has that story. Gov using FAC standoff as excuse not to pay salaries, and that's coming from NNPC. Page 8 also have that story. 5.4 trillion naira debt. AMCON talks tough, vows to seize debtors' assets. Page 8 still has that story. Waiver scam. Reps committee threatened to issue bench warrants to 26 firms. All this is business on the Vanguard newspaper. Page 4 has the story. And on the top page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, alleged underage voting. INEC to release full report of its investigation. You want to know more? You get yourself a Vanguard newspaper and soon flip over to page 4 and you have that story. Finally for me here on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, stay clear of Taraba, Delta, PDP wants Oshomole. And the rider, PDP terrified, and that's coming from APC. Page 8 has that story. All this and more on the Vanguard newspaper. Go get yourself a copy and read more.
This is what we can go for on this segment, the newspaper review. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we want to look into, again, we did it on Friday, how can we solve these Fulani and community clashes in Nigeria? What do you think? Because the army chief has spoken. They've said, hey, this is internally and external forces causing this. But what do you think? We need a solution. We'll go on this break now. We'll be right back.
These are tips to help stay strong and healthy. Learn to do stretching exercises when you wake up. It boosts circulation and digestion and eases back pain. Studies have shown that eating a proper breakfast is one of the most positive things you can do if you're trying to lose weight. Breakfast skippers tend to gain weight. A balanced diet includes fresh fruits or fruit juice, a high fiber breakfast cereal, low fat milk or yogurt with wheat toast, and a boiled egg. Many people do not know how to brush their teeth properly. Improper brushing can cause and much damage to your teeth and gums, as not brushing at all. Lots of people do not brush for long enough, floss, nor see a dentist regularly. Hold your toothbrush in the same way that you would hold a pencil, and brush for at least 2 minutes. This includes brushing the teeth, the junction of the teeth and gums, the tongue, and the roof of the mouth. Get your daily calcium by chugging milk or eating yogurt. It will keep your bones strong. Remember that your bone's density declines after the age of 30. You need at least 200 milligrams daily, which you should combine with magnesium, or it simply would not be absorbed. Tomato is a superstar in the fruit and vegetable pantheon. Potatoes and tomatoes contain lycopene, a powerful cancer fighter. They're also rich in vitamin C. The good news is that cooked tomatoes are also nutritious, so use them in pasta, soups, and casseroles, as well as salads. Tomatoes and apples can reduce the risk of asthma and chronic lung diseases. Both contain the antioxidant courseurin. To enjoy the benefits, eat 5 apples a week or tomato every day. We need at least 90 milligrams of vitamin C per day, and the best way to get this is by eating at least 5 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables every day. So hit the oranges and guavas. Folic acid should be taken regularly by pregnant moms.
We want to look at it. The president has said that he's going to overhaul security. We started that on Friday, and we're bringing it to you today. What else do you think we can do? Because even over the weekend, lots of people also lost their lives. Are we just going to be like this? Every day we hear killings, we hear communal clashes with the Fulani herdsmen. How long are we going to take this? This is what we're going to be doing this morning in our program, and we have a guest in the studios, Barrister Tunde Kolawole. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vera.
Good morning, Barrister.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Barrister, it got to this point where the president had decided to overhaul security. Do you think that will be the solution, or will I say lasting solution, to the Fulani and the farmers' crisis?
Well, let me quickly say that the proposal of the president to overhaul the security architecture of the country is a welcome development, but coming a little too late. If he had looked at that area a long time ago, the situation probably would not have degenerated to the level in which we have found ourselves as a people. Because the acrimony that is on ground today, the bitterness that already permeates all the different societies where these killings are taking place and all that, may be difficult for us to erase in the next 20 or 30 years. And all that. So, but thank God, the president has woken up to the realization that he required to really overhaul the security architecture of this country. It is going to help, but I don't see that as the final solution.
I have asked you before. I have asked you what is actually the challenge in fixing this all?
Let me quickly say this, that the clashes between the herdsmen and the Fulani and the farmers in the middle, in the middle belt of the country and all that is not a new phenomenon. If you look at our history, for example, you would have found out that the Usman Danfodio Jihad is as much as for religion as for the control of land in the northern parts of the country. So the men embarked on the jihad so as to be able to take over the land from the Hausa monarchy and then impose his own lordship over the people in there. And they did that not just in the north, they came as far as Oyo and all that. If not for the colonial intervention, they probably would have overrun Yoruba land and then annexed it as part of the northern region. So that is one. The second one is that you find out that the desert encroachment and the drying up of rivers and lakes in another part of the country is also excavating these challenges. Before now, the Fulani herdsmen used to have ample land to graze the animals in another part of the country. But you find out that desert encroachment, the drying up of Lake Chad and some of the rivers in the north and northern are still excavated or added to the challenge that we have in our. Furthermore, you find out that the Nigerian state has failed the Fulani herdsmen very, very woefully. As much as we were developing the other parts of the country, another woman capital, we were embarking on some other woman capital development and other. We neglected the Fulani people. If we had a proactive government, if we had a nation or a state that had a vision that every segment of the society must be carried along and other, we would have tried to introduce or encourage the Fulani herdsmen to embrace modern animal husbandry in terms of ranching and commercial agriculture. That we failed to do woefully. We will also have tried as much as possible to educate the Fulani children so that they can also go to school. If they had gone to school, probably they would not be doing animal husbandry the way their forefathers were doing it. But we neglected that. The only time we made an attempt to really educate the Fulani women, children, was when Professor Jubril Aminu was Minister of Education. He introduced nomadic education at that period in time, in which there were caravans, with teachers, books, and libraries and other that will be following the Fulani from one place to the other to make sure that at least their children also get educated in the place. But immediately, Professor Jubril Aminu left office as Minister of Education and other. That program collapsed. Secondly, you find out that the Northern allies have not been helpful. They would rather feed their people on jihadist and Islamization programs rather than to really encourage them to embark on modern animal husbandry and practices. And also look at the number of children in the north today who are out of school, who don't know anything about education. So rather than move the people towards modern education and other, you find out they will prefer to start preaching Sharianization and all sorts of retrogressive practices. Whereas you and I do know, religion alone without education and war does not ordinarily put food on the table.
So you're saying that it didn't just start today?
At all, it has always been there. So if we are going to tackle it, it has to be a kind of a variety of programs that we have to put on the table to really be able to restructure and then get ourselves out of this quagmire.
Barrister, you said quite a lot about this issue, but our focus now is on the security of lives and property in the country. And the president has said he's going to overhaul the security operations in the country. And then again, on Friday, the NGF met, that's the Nigerian Governors Forum, they met, and they said, with the way the killings are in this country, there will be a need for them to advise the president to have to sack the present security chiefs. Now, I'd like to ask you now, sacking the present security chiefs, one, is it coming at the right time? And secondly, are security men not powered enough to tackle these issues as it is now?
Like I earlier on said, sacking of the security men may be a good proposal. It might be a palliative, a temporary measure, but I don't see that as a final solution to the problem that we have in our hands for so many reasons. You will recollect that Jonathan, when he was leaving office, he left some security chiefs in there. And then the accusation then was that those security chiefs were not alive to their responsibilities. They were doing what they were expected to do. Immediately, Buhari came in, he sacked them and replaced them with new security chiefs. But since he replaced them with new security, the problem has even gotten worse. Why has it gotten worse? The answer, like I said, is in the air. A myriad of issues are not. One, you want to ask yourself, the security chiefs are mere commanders. They sit in the comfort of their offices and dish out orders to the rank and file of the battlefield. If the morale of the people on the battlefield is such that doesn't make them feel like really confronting the bandits who are killing people all over the place and other, you can replace the security chief 20, 30 times and other with the morale of the rank and file that we do have on the ground today and another, is never going to solve.
So what do you
problems.
think, if the security chiefs are not the ones that will drive this, how do we go about it?
A lot of proposals in my mind. One, why we reject the security architecture, I would also want to say that the Nigerian state required to really assist the Fulani herdsmen to embrace modern agricultural practices and commercial agriculture. It is not beyond us. In some other parts of the world, they have similar challenges, and that was how they went about it.
But we also have issues with ranches. The idea of proposing ranches in all states was kicked against from different quarters. And then again, the present administration had to withdraw the proposal as well. Now, I'd like to ask you, now you've talked about modern ways of going about their farming and all that, and ranching is part of it now.
Exactly.
How do we go about it to ensure that there's peace and everyone accommodates one another?
Honestly speaking, I have seen that it is mostly the southern politicians that have kicked against cattle ranching, because for them, they think that it's going to be used as an opportunity to confiscate their land and hand it over to the Fulani herdsmen. And I think that they have been short-sighted. I have in the past given an example of where I come from in Kwara State. My community, my own village, sits side by side with Fulani settlement. And those Fulani people have been there for more than 200 years. My great-grandfather said he met them there. My mother met them there, who died at the age of 90. I've also met them there. And they are still there as I'm talking to you. So those Fulani men and women have become part and parcel of us. So for us to say that creating a ranch for those cattle, for those herdsmen who have lived in my own community, for example, for the last 200 years and other, is kind of carving our lands and handing over to the Fulani herdsmen. It doesn't make sense to me.
Are you saying holding guns? Are you saying holding guns? Those people that have lived over 200 years in your community held guns. Are you saying holding guns will make someone give you land? Is it by force?
They never held guns. What I'm saying is that the southern communities or the southern leaders must learn to accommodate the Fulani herdsmen. There are more advantages in accommodating them than really train them out of the southern part of the country. With
their current way of practicing.
Oh yes, the Fulani man could be reorientated to embrace modern agriculture and discard the warlike manner in which it has approached the fight for its existence. If it is the Yoruba people, if it is the Igbo people, if it is the Birom people, if it is the Anang people, if it is the Ijaw people, who are faced with the similar challenge that the Fulani people are facing and all that, I am sure they will do the same thing. So rather, if we have the Fulani accommodated in the southern part of the country and all that, look at the opportunity of dairy farming. Look at the opportunity of meat canning. Look at the opportunity of producing milk. Look at the opportunity of people, southern farmers, producing folds, producing animal feeds and selling to the ranches and all that. You diversify your products, you diversify what you grow and all that. So all those opportunities are there. So for me, the Fulani man is not a liability. Okay. He is rather an asset. If the southern leaders are able to see the asset in the Fulani people and accommodate them, there are more advantages in it than merely looking at the issue that they will take over your land. For God's sake, nobody brought this land to this earth. It has always been there. It's always been there. Land does not belong to anybody. That's
Barrister, before now, we've been coexisting with these Fulani people. Before now. And now it's looking as though it has to be by force. If you don't allow me, I'm going to kill you. Last week, I don't know if you heard what the Mayati Allah said, that it was a reprisal attack, that they killed 300 cows, and so they went, they spread it to killing human lives.
They have denied that.
But I want to tell you what that will send to people out there. We were living together in harmony. If you think you don't like how they are treating your cows, is the best way, is it to kill human lives? Will they accommodate you after killing their people? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But let me ask this rhetorical question. When the Niger Delta area was being ravaged by oil spillages and all that, and lands and rivers were being polluted, and the people who cannot embark on their daily lives the way they would have wanted to embark on it, what happened? We saw an explosion in the Niger Delta. The Niger Delta people also rose up in arms to fight for their existence. It is the same thing that the Fulani person is doing. We must be realistic about these things.
Were they killing foreigners?
No, of course, you and I
Were
do
they
know.
killing
You and
foreigners?
I do know about all the pipeline vandalization.
That's what I'm saying, but wasn't human lives.
Yeah, human lives were
We're
not
talking about human beings with blood. And you cannot bring back.
all the
and then
kidnapping
again, the
of
militants
people.
were not with the AK-47. These
Oh,
people
with what
are
are they doing?
But were they killing human beings?
Asali Dokubo had a large army in there. Asali Dokubo had a large army in there. You also have Tompolo, who had his own army.
Barrister, are you comparing lives to
and all
those
sorts of
things?
generals sprang up in the Niger Delta to fight for their land and to fight for their freedom and to fight for their existence.
Okay, we have a caller. Let's get Jimo. Jimo, good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Very well. Because it is law, LOB.
We didn't hear where you started from, Jimo.
I said that the that provision put up here it's law. We have to respect ourselves. We are protected. If we are not about this is our country. The country belongs to everybody. We can choose ourselves. Tolerance, love, life, every other thing that make us to be happy and not for ourselves. So that is what we really want this country. We cannot be preaching for hatred. We are preaching for unity, but our action is not showing it. So they have to be accommodating. Be it in the north, be it in the south.
Exactly.
Let us accommodate ourselves. Let us love each other. That is what the prophet, the Jesus, the Rasulullah Muhammad preached to us. Let us practice it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. He has said that we must be accommodating.
Exactly.
Be accommodating. We also need to tolerate one another on both parts. Isn't it, Jimo? Okay.
So, in addition to what I've said, getting the Fulani to embrace modern agricultural practices and all that, we also have to fight desertification. You see, and then the drying up of rivers. I give you an example. In a place like China, they have scarcity of water in the other parts of the country. Do you know they diverted some of their rivers from the southern part of China to the north? They also created artificial canals. You also knew what Muammar Gaddafi did in Libya. When they had desertification and all that. They had to create a whole network of artificial rivers and canals and all that to really be able to turn the desert land into agricultural and arable places. We need to do that. Let me give a warning today. More serious problems is the offering in Nigeria in the future if this desertification is not for. I have found out now that Kwara State, Kogi State, Benue and other. A lot of people are migrating from the other part of the country, from Sokoto, from Zamfara and other, and now settling in those middle belt states and other. And they are being accommodated. Some of the chiefs and then Obas and other are giving them lands to build houses and all that. Now, in the future, if this hostility between the so-called Fulani and the farmer, and then between the Hausas and the Yorubas, or between the Fulani and then the people continues and all that, those are potential flashpoints. Because immediately those people settled in there in future, and we don't go to the north and make sure that they're able to live in their traditional environment and the places that God created for them and all that. The kind of issue that we have in Southern Zaria today, in Kaduna State, will reappear itself in this part of the country.
Okay, Kelechi, good morning to you.
Good morning. I love you in the studio.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I support the barrister 100%. You see, let me be frank amongst Nigerians. The officials in those herdsmen who have refused to acknowledge it. Secondly, the federal government of Nigeria since 2011 has been investing in private businesses. The airline business in Nigeria, local airlines are owned by individuals. The JCOs and DISCOs are owned by individuals. Government has spent billions on JCOs and DISCOs. Government has spent more than 1.8 trillion on the local airline earner. What stopped government from private land for tax? And that is good and that.
I don't.
The line is breaking
I think the line is, but
barrister.
A security is okay. Yes, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I heard some of the things he said. In addition to what he said, look at the millions of dollars that the Nigerian state has invested in the banking sector. Our highlights went into most of those banks and all that, and cream up all the money in there. And then it is the ordinary taxpayers in Nigeria, through the so-called AMCON and then the central bank and all that have to reinvest in those banks so that the bank don't collapse. If you are sustaining the elites through the banks and all that, and then through AMCON and some of their business like the caller have said and all that, what stops us investing a little money in really getting a full animal to embrace modern agriculture? What stops us from fighting desertification in the north? What stops us from making sure that Lake Chad, which is dry, we inject fresh water into those places, as it's done in some other parts of the world?
So, Barrister, where is the government getting it wrong is it now?
Well, it's our elites, their inability to really see the future. Like I said, the challenge between the herdsmen and the farmers has been there since the time of Usman Danfodio. So if it has been there, a proactive government, a responsible elites would have mapped out strategies and tactics to really be able to cater for this.
I'll come back to you. Obodo is here on the line. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Beautiful.
Good.
Yeah, please, Barrister Kola Wole, I want to talk to you, please. You see, in a situation like what we are facing in Nigeria about the Fulani men, it is evil. You can't tell me that a human being to be, I was a soldier. We have what's called human element and material element. We value human element than material element. So if you lose a human being, it's too painful to compare to an animal. Are you telling me that Fulani people should be accommodated? These people are murderers. They don't consider human value. Why should you live side by side with them? I, for one, and for Imo State, I don't think I will live with a Fulani man. Because I consider these people, I mean, my sisters as an ex-soldier, I have not seen anything good with people that somebody should live side by side with them. They come to your farm, they destroy your farm, but they say they are animals for money. How do you make a living? Please, I'm not happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yes, you need to answer that.
You see,
how do you now leave when someone is destroying your farmland?
You see, if you also look at it from another perspective, why did the Niger Delta go up in arms against the Nigerian state? Is it not because they could not do their fishing? Is it not because they could not farm?
And they were dying, and they were actually dying.
Yeah, and they were dying.
Yes.
So in other words, they wanted to protect their lives, their existence as a people. You are looking at it from the perspective of ordinary cows and all that. The Fulani man's only means of survival is those cattle. If he's unable to graze his cattle and all the cattle die, like they are dying now, and all that, what is going to happen to the man who owns the cattle eventually? He himself would die off. And that is why they have risen up and now. I am not saying that I support the killings that the Fulani people are doing. And even the killing, can we southern Nigerians exonerate ourselves from it? Go and find out. Most of the weapons that the Fulani people are using, the AK-47, are being imported and sold by southern Nigerian.
Dapo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dapo.
Dapo, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, my lady. I really want to disagree with Barrister Kola Wole. For God's sake, if I am doing my personal business or he has his personal business, and you are telling me that they should provide land for him doing his personal business, he has to look for money to go and rent or to go and lease a piece of land to do his personal business where he's getting his money and his profit, and he's putting that money in his own personal bank account. It is not a case of where maybe the government has an interest in that business before, and they have to divest their interest. Like he's talking about maybe the PHCN and the rest of it. At the time, it was government that was running all these things, but government decided to do away or to divest their interest. So the case of the PHCN and somebody doing his personal cattle business and making his money and going to somebody's farm maybe to Barrister Kolawole farm, to destroy his farm produce, use his cattle to eat up everything, and take over his land, and you are saying they should accommodate. Is it not unfortunate?
Okay, what's the solution? What's your solution?
Look, the solution is that somebody who wants to do his business must. It is not a matter of killing people here and there. You want to take over somebody's land. So
I wanted you to tell me your solution.
You have to apply or approach a landowner and lease the land so that you can do your business and get
okay,
your
thank you,
money
Dapo, for calling. But we must begin to, thank you so much for calling. That's taken. We must begin to look at solution. You said something that we can do a dummy ranches. Yeah. I remember the guest that came on Friday. He's a consultant security expert. That's Onyekachi Adekoya. He said something that we can do a dummy ranches in the northern part.
Sure.
That will not be encroaching on people's farmland. Do you think he's right about it?
So, Devera, if you go by that proposal and order of a dummy ranch in only the northern part of the country, the Fulani people that I said have lived beside my village for the past 300 years and order, are we going to evict them from there?
So what's the final solution? We must wrap up
and send them back to the north?
What's
The truth of the matter is there is nowhere in the world where agriculture is not subsidized. Go and check. Here in Nigeria, are we not subsidizing fertilizer for the farmers? Are we not subsidizing the farming equipment? The tractor that all the local government hire to the farmers in the different parts of the country, is it not subsidized? The truth of the matter, if Nigeria want to live in peace, they have to accommodate the Fulani. They must reorientate them towards modern animal agriculture. And we must also embark on massive fight against desertification, so that the people will not have to start migrating from the northern part of the country to the southern part of the country the way they are doing en masse now. I have mentioned something this morning.
We must wrap
which
up
people
now.
should take note of. A lot of people are moving from the north now to resettle in the middle belt of the country. And if it continues in that massive way it is going on in there, the kind of situation that we have in Southern area today and other, in Kaduna State, for example, is likely to reoccur in the nearest future.
So we should begin to look at solutions, find lasting solutions to all of this. I want to thank Barrister Tunde Kolawole for coming on this edition of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Up next, we want to look at trucks and safety on Nigerian highways. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. We want to look at highways, and we're looking at safety issues. Recently on the Otedola High Bridge, some people lost their lives and about 54 vehicles got destroyed in that inferno. Well, we want to look at that terror this morning, and this is not the first time it's happening in Lagos. Every time you hear heavy-duty trucks having accidents, running over into the other side of the bridge, you hear people losing their lives, you hear accidents here and there in Lagos. We have about 75 accidents like that had happened. I mean, 75 lives had been killed in those accidents in Lagos alone. And we don't want to go into statistics of other states in Nigeria, but this morning we have a guest in the studios. We have Engineer Timothy Iwagu. He is the Chairman, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, Lagos branch. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Superdawn.
If we look at the numbers of lives that have been lost through heavy trucks accident in Lagos, it's so alarming and one begin to wonder what is happening. Today we want to look at the safety issues, taking a cue of what happened last week in Lagos. It was a terror incident there where all the agencies was there to help. But we saw what happened, the tanker load, and we heard that in Lagos they said it was caused by human error and also the vehicular error. When you saw that happen, I guess you were there at the scene. What maybe you need to give us what really happened.
The whole issue predicated on failure of vehicle system. Now, the vehicle we are talking about is a vehicle that is supposed to be carrying heavy load, tonnage of petroleum product. And then it's going through that Otedola bridge, and you see there's a slope before that bridge. Then you now incline. As it was climbing, the engine couldn't propel it upwards. And when it stopped, it had to roll back. And rolling would have been stopped with the aid of the brakes. And the brakes were not effective at that point. And eventually the vehicle driver struggling, and it had to fall. And falling, it had to spill its content. Now the question is that content supposed to have been spilled? Because by design and configuration, that tank, you know, the truck tank, you know, the truck is dragging it along. Now that tank is not supposed to allow its content out even when it has fallen. So why did it spill its content? Because if you look around the country, you find out that most of the trucks and the tankers are just developed and designed by the local fabricators here. The liquid tight integrity of that tanker was not there anymore. Otherwise, as it fell, the content would have still been intact. And we have so many of them on our roads. They're all over the place. They are fabricated by our own local people here, not really structured companies, but any person who can use an arc welding machine can just start welding and molding a tank. So we have this problem. Now the brakes, remember the tonnage and the engine power must have some relationship. Now if an engine has to drag what it cannot, because it should be able to drag along that tank under various road conditions, whether it's down the slope or up the hill. Now it couldn't do that. So there are a whole lot of things not checked. The trucks, where are they coming from? Some of the trucks have stayed over 25 years in Europe and other countries before they were imported here.
Okay, looking at all of this incident, we want to look at what can one do, because you are the chairman of Institute of Safety Professionals.
Yeah.
If you are in that kind of situation, to safeguard yourself, what can you do to help yourself out? If this kind of things happen, what do you do?
Well, it's not about the institute, it's about the Nigerian public.
So you are an expert. That's
Yes,
what we're looking at. What should I do? If this happens, the truck, like there was a split, you know, and the truck just somersaulted, fell down, and you were maybe 10 vehicles behind or in front, what can you do to help yourself out?
I think the problem there is knowing that a truck had fallen, first of all, without the knowledge, the awareness. You know, awareness opens your mind to the knowledge of something or a situation. Now, if you are not aware, you find yourself in trouble. They said if you are not informed, you are deformed. So you must know that there's hazard, there's danger, and then you now think of how to keep clear of the danger. Otherwise, the danger can produce injuries and death and any other thing. Now, what you do when you see such a thing is to keep off that track, looking at where this thing happened. It happened on a bridge, and the bridge, there was no real escape
routes.
Yes, you know, once you are there, you are there. So the only thing you do is check where the truck fell and look at the free side, if it's possible. If it's not possible, then you cannot do much. A lot of people got affected.
Stuck in it.
Because either they were not informed or they did not know what to do. I think what Nigeria should be concerned about at this point is what caused it. Not exactly what people should do, as though we are preparing for calamities, that each time it happens, we should be thinking of how to escape from it. Is that the cure?
So we should be asking question, well, what caused it?
Yes, what caused it? Because if you don't know the cause, then you are definitely going to experience it over and over, and does not make sense of the situation. Why are we in this situation? We have vehicle inspectors, vehicle inspection officers. At what point do they inspect the trucks? Who permitted the truck to be loaded? The truck got to a loading bay, got loaded. Now, was the truck considered worthy in terms of roadworthiness? By capacity, is that engine enough to drag that tonnage?
It's a bit slippery, you know.
And whether it's slippery or on the plain floor or on the plain surface, we are talking about the vehicle's fitness.
The readiness of that vehicle.
The springs, the suspension system, the steering, the brakes. These are what makes up a vehicle. You don't look at a vehicle as just a piece of gadget that is just moving. There are a lot of systems there that make the vehicle worthy of moving on the road. A failure of any of the system could mean danger to everybody around the road.
Now, quickly, let me ask you this. We've been experiencing such. This is not the first time it's been happening.
Yeah.
We've been experiencing such over and over again. You mentioned something that it is not about the precaution, but about we knowing the cause of all this. Now, I'd like to ask you now, what are the systems government need to put in place to ensure that such a recurrence does not, such an incident does not reoccur?
Yes, the government has a lot to do. And then the individuals, remember, Nigerians are in business to make money, and they are making the money. And if they make the money, the business has rules and regulation. You are not to move a truck, go and load it, supply fuel to somewhere, if the truck is not fit to do that job. The government is supposed to ensure that the laws are enforced. We have very good regulations in Nigeria, beautiful laws. our problem has been enforcement. So if you go into the files, the statutes are there, but are they enforced? And then if they are not enforceable, why did we make the laws? You get the point? Now, if the law is not enforceable, then you don't make the law. Now, for you to have pronounced it and it has become a law, it means you must have enforcement agency. Now, we have agencies saddled with these responsibilities. Now, each of them has a peculiar angle of the enforcement task. So, you look at an articulated vehicle that has multiple tires, and it's using all worn-out tires. The brake system cannot be ascertained in terms of its effectiveness. Now, you look at the road itself. Is the road okay? Most times these trucks pass through very bumpy, potholes. And then the driver, what's the condition of the driver? Is he sound-minded? Now, the driver could be under the influence of alcohol, could be under drug. So there are a lot of things. And as these vehicles are moving, are they supposed to be moving at the time they are moving? Is there any law guiding that? This thing happened at a peak period where commuters were on the road, workers were going home. A lot of things happened. Now, it claimed lives. Most of the people who died because they did not know what to do. They did not know what was going on. They just found themselves engulfed. Now, those who were not even affected were running to the scene, not to help, but to take photographs. You can see the whole scenario. Now, they were taking photographs, and materials were burning, cars were burning. Flammable material, organic matter burning, releasing fume into the environment. And people were inhaling. And they were not bothered because they did not know the implication of inhaling such stuff into their lungs.
Okay, with what the governor said over the weekend, I'll come back to that. With what the governor said, because of these things that happened, he said now they are going to insist that they take their own routes. The trucks will take their own route. But I'm going to read to you the figures we've lost since 2017. And this is coming in from the State's Commissioner for Transportation, Ladi Lawansin, gave us some figures. And that's, if you calculate those figures, it said 827 road traffic crashes involving 2,372 vehicles were recorded in the previous year. He also said this coming in about 163 motorcycles. We have about tricycles also 101. And for cars alone, 1,686 cars and about 853 buses. We don't want to count the numbers of jeeps. And if you calculate all of this, we're looking at 4,410 incidences in Lagos. But looking at all of this figure before now, don't you think they would have done something about it before this happened last week?
Yes.
Knowing that you have all of these figures, about 1,000 previously, and we saw what happened last week.
Now, that's why the professionals are a bit saddened by recurring incidents of this nature, and then it looks as if all we can do is come to the television and talk, and then and everybody will just go back and relapse into the same situation, and that we don't want that to become our own tradition. We want to see an effective application of the laws. We were all here when Lagos had odd and even numbers for vehicular movement just to ease congestion of traffic. Now we're having this type of problem whereby trucks ply route, whether in the morning, afternoon, you see trucks everywhere. In the streets, we are overloaded with hazards, overloaded. Trucks are carrying products that are highly flammable, highly volatile, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. They are releasing vapor, fumes, into the streets. People are inhaling these things. They are carcinogens, and they can lead to any type of illness in human body. Some people are exposed to it on daily basis, and we look at that as chronic exposure, and it can lead to its own illness. Now, government must have competent, qualified professionals manning these safety critical positions. Otherwise, these things will be recurring and recurring and recurring. That is the problem we have here in our hands. If you look at, you don't put somebody who does not understand the enormity of the threat to oversee something. He will be seeing it as a normal work. He's doing a normal work. It's not a normal work. Safety issues are very serious issues. Safety issues. In as much as all of us want to be safe, but not all of us understand how to identify harmful things.
So finally, I want to ask you, because of time. Okay, you wanted to ask Blessed?
Yeah, quickly, it's still on safety now. As a professional safety expert, now quickly ask you, now you made mention of something which is very pivotal, that anytime accident occurs, we see people trooping down there, not necessarily to save the victims, but to take pictures and do some recordings and then spread it all through the social media. I quickly ask you this as we round up now. What are the safety measures that all these people need to apply to save the lives of victims in such situations?
I think they should be concerned about communicating and alerting the first responders, rather than coming to have a film show or recording competition. Most of the persons you see at the incident scene do not know or have the phone numbers to call the agencies responsible for such emergencies. Now, what we are trying to tell the public is this: do not go close to such incident scene where you are not sure. For example, each of the cars that was engulfed in that fire had fuel in their tanks.
Yeah.
The tanker itself was burning.
Yeah.
Now, explosions will occur. A lot of pieces, shrapnels and all that will fly into the air. Yeah. You can get blinded.
With that, we need to wrap up now.
Yes.
We can get blinded. But finally, before we leave, how can government engage you people with, because you people are professionals as well. Are there no interaction with stakeholders?
That's a good question.
As we wrap up.
Yeah, I know the government is not supposed to function without professionals effectively. In Lagos State, we are so happy with the governor, because the governor in 2015 said it in his campaign that he was going to use professionals. But we are not seeing enough of it when it comes to this area. And there seems to be competition, not competition as such, because we can't compete. Yeah. They are the enforcers. The government has what it takes to make things happen.
We know that government
and then we
professionals.
Have the
I must tell you, Engineer
yes.
Timothy, we know that governments have employed professionals, but there must be an interaction with you people as well.
Good.
We must state that, because what happened there at the Otelada Bridge, we saw how swift the response was that day. But how do you also engage with government is what we're looking at right now,
yes,
as we wrap up.
The swift response was quite acknowledged. But what we are talking about now is there must be some interaction between the professional setting and that. The laws that establish the Institute of Safety Professionals says we should advise even on the qualification a person must have to play a certain role or to be employed to play that role.
That's true. We must wrap up now.
Yeah.
No time. There's not enough time on our side. We want to thank Engineer Timothy Uwagu, the Chairman, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, Lagos branch. Thank you for coming on this segment. It's very important.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I hope you have gained 1 or 2 lessons from what we're doing this morning on our program. We must wrap up now. Up next is Superdawn Sports, and Prince Willow Vieson is standby. Let's go on a break.